You're recording.
Welcome to Been There, Watched That. I'm Justin. I'm here with Joe and Dave. This is where we watch and review movies and TV, new and old. Check us out on our website at beentherewatchedthat.com. On that website, which Joe put together, we've got a little synopsis, some video there, and a breakdown of how each of us rated that movie or TV show from that week. Also, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Just type in BTWT Pod and all major podcast platforms, hosted by Anchor.fm. So last week was Mad Max. We're continuing that with what is known as the Road Warrior in the United States, but in Australia was released as Mad Max 2. This is episode number 5, and it's our second review in the Mad Max series.
The sequel. All right, welcome to it. Joe?
Yes, sir.
The Road Warrior. Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Yes.
Give us the lowdown.
All right. When I read these, I always feel like I want to have that voice of the guy that does the movies in a world where chaos happens. I always want to do that, but there's no way I can do that. So anyway, the synopsis for Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. Wandering the deserted highways of an energy-starved dystopian Australia, after eradicating the Knight Rider's followers in Mad Max, the former patrolman Max guys, help me with the last name.
Rokudzinski.
There you go.
Rokutansky.
There you go.
Yeah.
Finds himself roaming the endless wasteland, scavenging for food and precious fuel. Suddenly, in a scorched wilderness, the hungry for fuel Max chances upon a small oil refinery. However, the place is under siege by Lord Humongous, barbarian horde of biker warlords hell-bent on destruction and mayhem. Now, to get his hands on as much gas as he can carry, Mad Max will have to provide the defenseless community with a powerful truck to transport the gasoline to safety. Nevertheless, this is much easier said than done. Is Max, the battle-scarred road warrior, up for the task?
Yeah. So we watched the first one, came back to this one. This one, I forgot about the first one, honestly. And then we watched it again. I was like, man, it was boring. Max had like 4 lines in the whole thing. It was really a quiet movie.
Yeah, to recap on our scores, Joe and I each gave it a small popcorn, which in our rating universe is like a, I guess that'd be a
2-star
1
rating.
or a 2.
2.
Yeah.
Oh,
2-star.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
Dave, you gave it a medium popcorn.
Yeah. I mean, just because I knew the storyline coming up. You two hadn't seen the second one, so.
And I think, Justin, had you already seen the second one before?
Maybe, but it was just so long ago that I do not remember. So,
Okay.
Yeah, this is
This
pretty much
one-
like a new watching experience for me.
Yeah. It ramped it up, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It should. It had 12 times the budget.
Right. That was, yeah, we said before we got on air here that you could tell that was a big time budget upgrade.
Yeah, so if you still haven't watched the first one, Mel Gibson, this is one of Mel Gibson's first movies he starred in. And one of the other known names is Bruce Spence, the gyro captain.
Yeah.
Okay, he went on to play in The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and Star Wars Episode 3.
Really?
Nice.
That's
Wow.
some of the stuff he's known
Oh,
for.
okay.
But
Yeah, I kind of assumed, without having any reason to assume that some of these people, other than Mel Gibson, would have just been lost to history, kind of never been in anything else again. But
well, believe it or not, I went through like the first page of cast members on IMDb and went back to go see if any of them went on to anything we would know of, and I think there was one of them that was in like Weird Science, but other than that, none of the others really went on to do anything. And what really shocked me was the kid in this movie. He didn't really...
Emil Minty.
Yeah, he didn't take off.
Well, they're in Australia, though.
Okay, then that makes...
So I would kind of say that, they would have to make a move to the U.S. to get really big.
Okay, now that would make sense. I'll buy that.
That's my guess.
yeah, and the guy you're talking about, the gyro captain, it's this kind of little rinky-dink helicopter type thing that he flies around in, like a one-man helicopter. But he kind of becomes, sort of a sidekick for Mad Max, or at least someone that kind of helps him out a couple times, gets him out of some issues. And
yeah, he had to be his own hero a little bit.
yeah.
Right.
But they start out with he's attempted to shoot the guy because he
Yeah.
had set Mad Max up to try to steal his fuel from him, and then he kind of makes him go show him this other oil refinery place.
Yeah, I like how Mad Max shows up there, and there's a snake on the gyro, and then the guy just pops up out of nowhere. It's like, okay, for starters, I wouldn't have hung around if I saw that snake. And then, two, if that guy jumped out at me while I'm looking at that snake, yeah, I'd had to get a new change of clothes real quick.
It was funny how he jumped up out of the ground. So he was apparently in a hole in the ground,
sand,
covered up, and he comes up out of there so fast.
Yeah.
It's amazing. With a crossbow, cocked and aimed.
Now, that's one thing that I've noticed in a lot of these
Movie magic.
post-apocalyptic movies.
Yeah.
Apparently, the weapon of choice is a crossbow.
Well, all the guns go to the wayside. Apparently, they get used up.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing I can assume. And it's not a regular bow. It's always the crossbow.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you gotta survive, you can use a bow and arrow, but by golly, you go to a crossbow in a hurry.
Yeah, so I'm starting to think, get some guns, but really stock up on crossbows and arrows.
Yeah, because Max, he's got this little sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, but there's times where he's running pretty low on bullets, so it's a thing that for him, every shot really has to count.
And apparently the defending piece of armor is football shoulder pads.
Yeah.
That, like, everybody on there had at least like one side of the shoulder pad, if not both sides. It's like, so football shoulder pads is the defending item here.
Yeah. In Australia even, because they don't have like American football.
Yeah.
But it took 12 weeks to shoot this. So they shot it in sequence over 12 weeks, which to me seems crazy because now it seems like movies take years.
And what's crazy is they actually shot it in order because, a lot of movies and TV shows, they'll shoot, a lot of times they'll shoot the beginning and at the end, and it's just kind of sporadic, but they actually shot this in sequence.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. They started the movie off, with the V8 being the big deal. He's running his... which is weird to me because it's a special V8 car, but everybody can catch him.
Yeah, even when he kicks the turbo in, it's like everybody. And honestly, when he kicks the turbo in, it doesn't look like his car goes that much faster.
Yeah.
Because, you would think, they show it kicking on, like they would do some kind of little camera jerk or something to make it look like it just zooms past, and it's like,
there's nothing. Which the blower would make a big difference in a car. But I was just, everybody catches him. I'm like, he's got this special V8. There's so few of them left, but all the rogues somehow can have cars that just absolutely fly. And then they had nitrous.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't get gas, but you got nitrous?
Yeah, and apparently plenty of it and an abundance of it.
Yeah. So, interesting deal. They filmed this out in the desert and got cold. And then it rained for the first time in 4 years, so they had a 1 week shutdown inside that 12 weeks.
Yeah. You talk about luck.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to go here because there's no possibility it can rain. Boom, rain.
Yeah, a week of rain. So, and then another neat thing was the dog. There's a dog in the film that plays a pretty integral role. He was 1 day away from being euthanized at the dog shelter, and they brought him in because he played with a rock like a toy, and the one guy felt like he was unique and would fit the bill, and then the cameraman actually ended up adopting him after that.
Yeah, I like the dog in the movie. It's like
he does a really good job.
Mad Max, he's out there on the road all by himself. It kind of makes sense he would have a dog.
Yeah.
And
I liked it when he was holding the shotgun on the gyrocopter guy, and he sees the rabbit on the side, and the guy's like, ah! And the dog glances at the rabbit and then looks back at him. He's like, yep, in control.
Yeah,
he rigged up his shotgun with a dog bone attached to a string, attached to a trigger of a shotgun.
Yeah.
To keep this guy from moving.
Yeah, I looked at it, I was like, that's awesome. That is like MacGyver level ingenuity.
Yeah. And the dog played it so well. It was great. Okay, so what'd you think? So let's start off with, you two had not seen it before. I have.
Mm-hmm.
So initial impression? Well, let me ask you this. Did you feel like it was realistic at least this time?
I felt it was a little more realistic, a little more believable than the first one.
Okay.
And when the movie opened up, within like the first 2 minutes, they give the recap of the first movie.
Right.
Watching that 2 minute recap, I was like, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I could have lived with that and not even had to sit through the first movie. The
little montage.
The montage at the beginning gave me everything I needed to know.
So this movie could stand alone.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's good. I agree with you.
So, Justin, what do you think?
I thought more action, and it's kind of a little more exciting, kind of better, maybe a little faster pacing, and which I liked. Like we'd all kind of mentioned that the first one's a little slow at times, and nothing too silly or anything in this one. They could have, with a bigger budget, maybe tried to get some laughs or do something, with the dog. I thought they used it enough and gave some nice little laughs here and there, but nothing over the top, like just eye rolling type stuff. So
Yeah.
I thought they did a good job of, just kind of making the world bigger without getting corny in any way. Really.
Now, I think the chase scene at the end could have shortened it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like it's got to be an hour and 42 minutes long, and we only have an hour and 39 minutes. So let's make the last chase scene 3 minutes long or whatever. It almost seemed like it was just a hair too long for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like if they would have tightened that up a little bit, that would have.
You know what I didn't like? I didn't like at the very end when he tips the tanker truck over. The guys didn't go down there to get the fuel.
That was so weird.
They were just like, okay, chase scene over, and they turn and drive away.
There was no fuel in it, I guess.
But I mean, how could they see that from where they were?
But yeah,
exactly.
They just left.
And like I would, you think that somebody in that world, if you're a scavenger, they'd have went down there and got any parts off the truck they could, and got any of his stuff that they could, like his gun. How would that not be worth going and getting?
Well, and
but they just turn around. But they did that in the beginning of the movie as well. Like when he wrecked, he didn't go over to that car that hit the stuff and flipped.
Right.
He went straight and started saving gas. So maybe he did later, but he didn't make sure they were dead. He didn't do anything but watch, the guy on the motorcycle, and they do that a couple of times.
Yeah, it's almost like we've got your back until you need help, then you're on your own.
Well, I just mean even like when they had the scene where the cars leave the compound trying to get away.
Right.
They kill the people, obviously, or take them hostage, but they leave the cars there. In reality, and this is just me thinking it through, I'd have been like, I'm going to take the tires and the rims, any car parts I can get.
Right.
You're going to need them. Why would you just leave them sitting and walk away?
Right. Yeah, the tanker truck, the tank itself was full of sand, but the fuel tanks...
In the truck, that's true.
The truck didn't run on air.
Yeah. So that was kind of weird to me, how they just kind of like, okay, chase over, I'm going back to wherever to just sit around my campfire.
That was weird. Yeah, I agree.
But that's the only part that bothered me. Now,
okay, that's something I did not catch, but it makes perfect sense. Like, why wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, you would scavenge every part, the car battery, you get everything you possibly could.
Exactly.
But anyway, and now, okay, so the next thing I noticed, the good guys had white. Like they had white shoulder pads, white scarves, white, clothes.
Right.
The bad guys all wore black. The Mad Max wore black.
Ah.
So he was a bad guy, but he transferred over to the good guys.
Yeah, he's kind of the vigilante, though. He's kind of...
the mercenary, yeah.
And a lot of the movie kind of takes place in basically an oil refinery that people have turned into kind of like a military base kind of fort that they're defending, because everyone obviously wants to get in. And the people in white that you're talking about is kind of like this kind of far out a little bit, kind of a little community of there's probably 20, 30 people there all living together and defending this oil. And Max gets in with them and then starts helping them defend from these crazy biker guys that are trying to attack and take things from them.
Yeah, it's funny how good the biker or the gang, I guess, that had bikes and stuff would always track them down. You'd think that one or two would get away, because they're running like the one time they ran 4 cars out, but they tracked all of them down anyway. I was like, yeah, come on now.
Yeah, the big chase scene that you referred to is like that's Max deciding that he's going to be the one that's going to drive this tanker truck, fuel tanker vehicle, and like take it out, and because obviously all the bad guys are going to chase him, so he kind of does the right thing, I guess. He becomes the good guy in that sense of helping the other people escape.
Yeah, sacrificed himself because he knew that's what they'd go after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, what drove me nuts is the bad guys, obviously fuel's the big deal here. Mm-hmm. But yet they showed the bad guys basically just having a party, with the motorcycles.
Doing donuts on their motorcycle, yeah.
If it's such a precious commodity, the last thing I'd be doing is monkeying around, just running stuff for fun.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere they go, they're revving their engine and burning up
Burning
as much
fuel,
as
yep.
possible.
Yeah, burning through it like it's nothing. It's like, really?
But they're bad.
Yeah.
They're mean bad guys, so they gotta act like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice the one big wreck scene where the guy gets flipped out of the vehicle and goes flying past the camera?
Yes.
That was not intended, but that was a real stuntman that broke his leg and almost lost his life because of that accident. So that was not planned for that to happen.
Now,
He slammed into a car and he went over the hood. He was supposed to just go over the hood and go down like in a grassy area.
Right.
But instead he went through that ravine and they just happened to have a camera there that caught it.
Now, there is one motorcycle rider that flips end over end into the ditch.
That's the one.
Well, if you catch it just right at the bottom of the screen, you can see where he lands on a blue safety mat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the right one then.
I was going to say, I don't think it is.
Because they didn't have any safety mats or anything.
Yeah.
And then the car's the same one from the first movie. They destroyed all the other vehicles from the first movie. And then they said, well, one of them stopped and said, okay, we'll go keep this. So they, kind of a nostalgia type deal. And then, by golly, they brought it back. They had to restore it and fixed it. And now it was sold and it's refurbished and displayed in the Cars of Stars Motor Museum in England.
Really?
Yeah. And actually, that's a Ford Falcon XB GT Coupe that was produced exclusively in Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here's what I found interesting is there is a different, I can't remember what the exact name of it, but when they released this movie for TV, I'm looking it up here real quick, they had actually, I pulled it up last night. There is a different, okay. There's a different version of this that's kind of buried.
Really?
Yeah.
More violent, maybe, or something?
Well, no, it's an alternate version that they released, that it aired on broadcast television on NBC, and NBC made a lot of changes to make it airable on television. So
yeah, I could see that.
A lot of the fight scenes were cut out, a lot of the nudity was cut out, and they even changed the voiceover person to an American. And
that's weird.
Some of the scenes actually they extended them. It was like there was an extended version. So so it's a little, and nobody can find it, but it's like an altered, underground version of this same movie that nobody has seen in years.
Well, there were 200 stunts, and 2 of them got hurt pretty bad. And then the rollover in the tractor trailer, the stuntman wasn't allowed to eat 12 hours prior to filming should he need to be rushed into surgery.
Unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, they were worried about that side.
Unbelievable.
Well, and I'm thinking you would probably want him to eat so then he wouldn't, black out or, have some kind of issue from not eating.
yeah, no. They're like, listen, this might go ugly and you might need a emergency surgery, so no.
You will not eat and you will like it and you will survive. That's crazy.
So,
well, we talked about the gyro.
yeah. That's a big part of that.
Guy. Then, then another little side character is that feral kid. If you guys remember him, it's like a little
Emil something.
In that community that we're talking about, where Max comes in, there's this little kid who basically doesn't talk; he just grunts. He's like a little caveman kid,
right?
And he runs around with like a metal boomerang that.
Which
it's
I think
supposed to be really sharp because he throws it and some guy tries to catch it, cuts his fingers off.
Yeah, which I think is hilarious. Is like, why would this kid? I mean, it almost looks like a lawnmower blade that the kid's throwing around.
Yeah, the kid actually takes out one of the bad guys with just throwing a sharp boomerang at his head.
Yeah, but it's post-apocalypse, so yeah, all the safety regulations are.
You talked about how the last chase scene was a little long. There was one part where. Basically, Max is driving the big rig, and some guy punches through the back window, and the little feral kid starts biting on his hand already. Or that went on for 2 minutes. The guy couldn't pull his hand away from a child for 2 minutes. He was like, ah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I think they were just needing to fill some time there with like, oh, the kid is biting him. So
Right.
It went on way too long, that part of it.
Joe might have been right. We got to get to a minute and 45. 2 minutes of the kid here.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot
Keep
of
biting
little
him, kid. Keep biting him.
yeah, a lot of references in this one. So Mad Max's outfit, for instance, he's missing his right jacket sleeve,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is like a throwback to the first movie where his arm got ran over. He's got on a squeaky leg brace where he got shot in the first movie in the kneecap.
Right.
So, the fingers are cut out of his gloves, the first two fingers, so he can, get his shotgun out and reload shells or whatever quickly. So, all kinds of neat little stuff. He had did you guys notice his tool belt that held his shotgun holster but also had tools hanging on it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he has a tool belt that has like a crescent wrench and stuff like that kind of hanging, which is weird to me because it makes a lot of noise. And, do you really have to have your tools that handy if you're out in, apocalyptic type situation?
Well, he rigged up the shotgun for the gyro guy in no time flight, so I'm going to say yes.
Well, I could see the shotgun and having a holster, but I just mean like...
Yeah, but I'm saying but you have to have your tools handy because he just jumped up onto the gyro captain and was able to rig in no time flight the shotgun with the dog bone. So yeah, you kind of have to... So
yeah, I can see him having them, but I don't know about strapped to you like
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
awful noisy and would be rough in a fight.
well, and weigh you down too if you had to jump or drive or maneuver. So you was talking earlier about Mel Gibson in the first movie not having many lines.
Yep.
He had 4 times the number of lines in this movie.
So he had 12 whole lines.
16.
16 whole lines.
And
There we
2
go.
of them were, I only came for the gasoline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's kind of just... He's not a good guy necessarily because he's like, well, if you pay me, I'll help you out. But I'm not like doing this out of the kindness of my heart. He's just like a gruff kind of character.
Right. And what just boggles my mind in all of this is they are fighting over gasoline. Not once. And Max is shown eating dog food.
Yeah.
They're all fighting over gasoline. Max is eating dog food, but we gotta save the gasoline. Forget about everything else. We need gasoline.
Now, Dinky D, the dog food, that's Australian slang for genuine or real.
Genuine, real dog food.
So yeah, the supposedly he ate real dog food there because it was genuine and real dog food in that can.
Yum, yum.
And the logo on the tanker truck is Seven Sisters Oil. That's a reference to the conspiracy theory that the OPEC conspiracy theories took over, that the Standard Oil and 6 other companies controlled the world oil market and bought up and suppressed the 200 mile per gallon carburetor, which I kind of believe, because I just want to state this up front. So, Justin, you probably have the most fuel efficient car of all of us, I'm assuming, because I have like a SUV.
Right.
Joe, you have a truck and
Yeah,
an
probably.
SUV.
Right.
So how many miles per gallon does your car get, Justin?
Oh, like... On the interstate, 30 plus, but just around town, it's like 25, 26.
Okay. So I had, in 1980, the Volkswagen Rabbits were diesel. I had one when I was in high school. That baby got 55 miles a gallon.
Yep.
And this is back in 1989, 1990.
Which is completely unheard of.
So, well, yeah.
For the time.
But I'm just saying, well, no, all the little diesels like that, like the diesel Jettas, they still get good gas mileage.
Yeah, but I'm talking about at the time in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know,
So let's count decades here. 90 to 2000, 2000 to 10, 2020. So 31 years later.
It's lower. A hybrid... I don't think there's hybrids that are getting 55, maybe.
Yeah. So, and your car is, what year is your car?
2016.
So, it's 5 years old, but still, 2016, 30 years later, your car is still getting pretty poor gas mileage comparatively.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me. So, yeah, I kind of believe that there's a 200 mile per gallon carburetor or something out there that would make cars be more fuel efficient, and they're just being suppressed. Bam. I'll lay that on everybody.
it's believable.
I just don't see how. How can gas mileage still be so poor?
Yeah.
It's got to be on purpose.
Well, and I like how California, within their ingenious thought processes, well, you need to have at least, if the regulation's 20 miles or, at least 20 miles a gallon or whatever. Or you need to up that minimum to 22. Really, 2 miles more.
Yeah.
That's our big leap in.
Yeah.
in progress here. But the whole thought process of California, that's a whole other discussion for another day. And
Yeah.
With the Road Warrior, I like that there's a little less just kind of wandering around to weird different scenes like in Mad Max 1 where they just go to the beach for some reason and hang out as a family. This one's kind of more straight to the point, like, here's where the oil is, let's go check it out, then let's take the oil and take on the bad guys. Like, boom, boom, two different
yeah,
places.
it was more focused. It was
Yeah.
almost like the first movie was on. You had bad case ADD. It's like we're over here. Oh no, we're over here, and ooh, squirrel over there. So yeah, I like that one. Like this better. A little more on focal point.
Yeah, no sort of romantic storyline either going with it. Like with the first one was a little bit more him and his family, which, I mean, if they're alive, I guess it makes sense to incorporate that in the story. But
So I'm going to ask you guys this. Mad Max kind of takes a shining to the feral kid. Do you think, and he gives him the little music box.
Yeah.
Do you think Max sees his son? in
Yes,
that
I
boy?
do. I do
And-
specifically.
And that's the reason he takes a shining to him?
Yeah, and I think the kid, as because the kid was kind of ostracized as well, because you notice back to the thing, all the people in the compound were wearing white except the kid. The kid was wearing like animal furs.
yeah.
Right.
So feral is a good word, and I think he did. But although the kid kind of played a vital role, he had the tunnels that went under the compound and came up out in the desert,
Right.
and he'd go out there with his boomerang and could inflict some damage, which he did.
Yeah, and he helped Max out at one point because Max was kind of sneaking around near the bad guys' camp, and the kid, Max made some noise. So then the bad guys were about to come out there and get him, but then the kid made like a howling noise. They're like,
Yeah, like
it's
coyotes.
Just a coyote out there. That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you right at the end they do two separate shots of Max and the kid. Max has like these little blonde streaks on the side of his head, and then if you look at the kid has the same thing. So it's almost like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The final chase scene, the kid ends up on this big tractor trailer. Max didn't like bring him on there, but the little kid just snuck over and like jumped on as they were.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
off.
figure out how in the world he got there. It's like, he wasn't in the truck with him, so literally you're letting this kid just literally just jump from moving vehicle to moving vehicle. And
Oh,
The
yeah.
show where they're like trying to get the kid runs off and they're like, no, you can't go. And the kid just jumps on and takes off with him. So yeah, he kind of became a little sidekick to Max as well.
And ended up helping.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had to climb out on the hood and get the shotgun shell.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep.
But he didn't actually get it, so.
Yeah.
But
I would have enjoyed the movie just a little bit more if they would have played, not over, just kind of beat you over the head with it, but just maybe a scene more or two with Max and the boy,
interacting, some sort of personal interaction.
Right. And, and not even had to sit down and have a whole conversation. I mean, there's something that they could have made it just a little more interaction between the two. I think would have.
Did you notice that, so in the first movie, the gang leader, the biker guy, Max drives over a hump and there's a tractor trailer coming and he veers and the motorcycle guy hits him head on.
Yes.
Boom. All right. Bad guy in this film, same consequence.
Yeah. Just
Head-on collision,
explodes.
which is kind of crazy to me because the main guy gets in his car, cranks up the nitrous, hits the gas, knowing he's going towards the rig.
Yeah.
What did he think was going to happen there?
And it's all flat land around him, so it's not like he couldn't have veered off.
Oh, he knew where the chase was. I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing I can think though is like maybe they were supposing that when Max turns the rig around, which doesn't make any sense to me. We're going in one direction to get away, and now all of a sudden he's going to pull a U-turn and go back towards the fight. And the main guy was running to catch up, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just saw a bunch of explosions and I was like, makes sense. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what blew up, but makes sense. Got it.
Yeah, explosions.
But and I don't understand why they were so hot and heavy to go chase them all down. They had the rig, but
it's like what, a 10, 15 minute chase scene. So what, they traveled like, less than 20 miles away, but they made it seem as if he had led the bad guys
Far
so
enough
far
away.
away that they flash back to the community and they're like, the women and children are able to escape. When surely they could have caught them again too if they really
Right.
wanted to, but it's like Max saved the day in that way. But
Okay. Well, was there any moral dilemmas for you throughout the movie?
Max eating dog food won the big.
Well, what about the way he treated the gyrocopter pilot guy? Did you? Because it was kind of like the guy was like, "We had a deal," and he's like, "Well, the deal was I didn't kill you. You're welcome."
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of rough with him,
But I mean, you got to think in the situation they're in. Max doesn't know this guy from Adam,
Oh yeah,
and the guy technically,
did try to kill him.
did try to kill
well,
him.
try to rob him.
Or rob him at least.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to understand where Max is coming from on this one, and
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of leaves him like handcuffed to a tree stump or something, like out in the desert, like pretty much. Like get your way out of this, otherwise you're gonna die. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not helping you.
yeah, good luck to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how he eats all the dog food, and then the guy's sitting there. You show him later, just scraping the bottom of the dog food can.
The part that the dog couldn't get to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like they kind of implied that he's just like starving, hungry, but then you go to other scenes and there's able to jump around and run around and do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But, I think they overplayed that a little bit with the dog.
Well, I was
food
thinking,
thing.
where did the Marauders get their food?
exactly.
I mean, how do you feed and water a camp of 40 Marauders?
Yeah.
That's a massive operation. I mean,
Yeah.
our military does a heck of a job of, that's important. You got to set up camp. You got to have food. You got to have water for everybody. But these Marauders are just living out in the desert on what kind of food and water?
Yeah.
exactly.
Who knows?
Yeah, and it's desert, so there's no vegetation. I mean, there's not even grass to eat. Period. It's just sand.
Well, and then the
dirt.
people in the compound had chickens and a couple pigs and a little bit of a farm area. And in the very beginning, you see a couple camels. But I would think that the Marauders would be able to kill off that in a hurry and starve those folks out.
Right.
So in my mind, not a very realistic look at it. The compound would have to be a lot bigger. And Justin, you work with us with some projects, in no-till farming and stuff like that. That doesn't look like very farmable land.
No.
So what are all these people eating? Yeah, apocalypse my butt. They'd all have been starved out in the first 3 weeks.
The dirt must have some kind of nutrients that we aren't aware of.
Yeah. So that's the unrealistic part of the movie, but hey, it's a movie.
I think they just didn't put the effort in because they're like, well, just believe it. It's a post.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a movie for enjoyment, not for realistic.
Yeah. Nobody is going to sit there and nitpick it and, oh, wait, that's what we're doing. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, big picture it for me. So we're looking at this, the big picture. Did you enjoy it? And this is not your rating yet, but
Right.
It might
was
be a
it
low
something?
bar, but for me, a lot of times when I'm watching something, it's like, is it watchable or not? Is it even if it's not the greatest movie I've ever seen? Is it? It's not so bad that I'm like, this is a complete waste of time. What am I doing? I'm going to turn this off. If it passes that, and then it's all up from that. So it did pass that for me. So it's at least enjoyable enough or entertaining enough. For
right.
me.
And I'm asking this because, like, the first one, we all agreed the first one was kind of a waste of time. I mean, I knew what the second, third, and fourth movies were, so I kind of felt like it was a basis. But you two did not. So
Well,
based on that,
I wouldn't have wanted to skip straight to this one. Like just to be able to say I've seen them all. I did like watching the first one, but like Joe said, the montage at the beginning of this one pretty much gives you all the
summed it
information
up
you
in a
need to
hurry.
know.
Yeah. Joe,
Yeah.
what do you think? Big picture. Enjoyed watching it? Didn't enjoy watching it? Where would it rate for you?
I enjoyed it much better than I did the first one.
Right.
I mean, it's leaps and bounds. It's one of those. It's not my favorite, and would I see it again? There's a possibility.
Well, okay. Let me ask you a different way. If it came on TV, would you watch it?
It had to
No,
be.
probably not.
It had to be a slow day.
Okay. All right.
Maybe 5 years from now.
Now, I will give it credit. This, if the only thing to watch is either this or the first one,
Yeah,
no contest.
yeah, I got you. But even if commercials are on another channel, you're gonna watch commercials.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder. We talked a little bit about so few lines for Mel Gibson. I wonder if they thought if we give him too much, maybe he's not going to be able to. He doesn't have the acting chops, or is it really
Well-
they want him to be this kind of meme mean-ish character that
The
doesn't
vigilante,
really have a lot
yeah,
to say.
vigilante that doesn't talk a lot.
It's
I kind of
not
think it was
bitter,
that,
yeah.
and he wasn't known, so I guess there was no reason to have him kind of have lines because he wasn't known in the U.S.
Because he never really screws anything up. He doesn't act poorly. I didn't think either in this one or the first one.
Yeah.
I think he held his own, but yeah, maybe.
It's
didn't
easy
have
when
to
you
do
don't
it.
have to speak.
Yeah.
You know, did you guys
Yeah.
notice the one funny part? They kind of, Justin, you alluded to this earlier. They kind of had some humor. So he's watching the one car chase, and he has his binoculars out, and then the gyrocopter guy comes up beside him and pulls out this really long
Yeah.
Like
telescope.
Single,
Yeah,
single
Yeah,
eye.
and he looks at him and is like, huh, and then grabs it from him, and they switch.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah, some nice little things thrown in there without it getting to be goofy.
Yeah,
or anything.
right.
Still
Yeah,
had,
yeah, a little humor to lighten things up.
yeah. But crazy part is, why didn't he search him in the beginning and find that? Because I mean, isn't that what you do? You'd search him for weapons and find that telescope.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't search him, but yet the gyro guy knew that Max had a knife and possible bomb underneath the car.
Well, that's kind of common sense in survival. Like he
Yeah,
said, a wise fella would have a weapon under there.
Right.
So and that's what.
But
yeah.
what gets me is the guy was keen on smart enough on Max. Like, yeah, you probably have something under there, but yet Max still didn't go ahead and
Yeah.
check him out to see what all he had.
Yeah. Part of it then.
At one point, Dave, you kind of brought up like any sort of moral issues. It just made me think of he goes and meets this community and basically turns them down. They wanted him to, I don't know, join them.
Yeah, to help
do
out.
something, but he's just kind of like, nah, screw you guys. I'm going somewhere else. And the one guy kind of berates him like, Max, you can't just live out there by yourself. Like, what about having hope and having a community and like. There's a little bit of this, like, in holding on to hope even in a post-apocalyptic type setting, or going the route of Max and just saying, I'm on my own now and the world is screwed up. And
I think they smelled the dog food on his breath and knew he had food.
yeah, come join us. Bring your dog food. Yeah.
That's a good point. Who was the main guy for the good guys? Michael Preston. What all did he play in? He was. I recognize
He's got a
him.
face that makes me think I've seen him in something else, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just looked him up because.
Yeah, when he first came on in the movie, I'm like, he looks kind of familiar.
He does. He looks like a singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, he was a
Looks like
boxer,
a-
became a singer. He appeared on Oh
Rocker.
Boy. Yep.
Okay.
He was on Law and Order.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Everyone's on all night.
Homicide. Yeah, he's on a series called Homicide. Yeah, guest appearances on A-Team, Max Headroom, Airwolf, Scarecrow.
Perry Mason.
Yep. Highlander. Okay, so he's been around. That's why.
Yeah. Max like punches him in the face at one point because he's kind of getting up at his grill and saying,
Yeah.
at least we have some hope and we're decent people, and you're just like this marauder, basically, but not as bad as the other bad guys, but somewhere in between the good guys and the bad guys, like you said.
So now, I did find this interesting.
Yeah.
Give a little peek behind the curtain here. So when Justin and I was having text exchange when trying to figure out which movie to watch, and Justin first wanted to watch The Road Warrior, and then we found out that Road Warrior was the actual part 2.
Right.
When the movie originally came out, they actually renamed it The Road Warrior for North American distribution because at the time the original Mad Max had only been released on a limited basis in North America.
Yeah.
People wouldn't know what the heck they're talking
Exactly.
about.
So if they'd have named it Mad Max 2, nobody would have had a clue what they was talking about.
Yeah. I missed the first one, so I'm not
Yeah.
watching the sequel.
So as soon as I saw that, I was like,
That's smart, actually, though, to do it that way.
yeah. As soon as I saw it, I was like, well, that perfectly explains the text messaging that you and I had. Was like, okay, now it's going to
Yeah.
trying to nail down which one we was wanting to watch.
All right.
Did you guys look up or notice what sort of numbers it did, how successful it was?
It's one of the top 100 one of the top 500 movies of all time, and one of the top
Action movies.
50
ever.
movies. Yeah.
I
So
saw
it did
somebody say
okay.
This is widely regarded as one of the best action movies ever made. And
Yeah.
Mad Max, the original, we talked about last week, made $8.7 million worldwide. I'm just curious, how this one stacks up against the original.
They didn't really say.
Okay, here we go.
Joe, find it
Their
though.
budget was an estimated $3 million.
Compared to 350,000
Yeah.
on the first one. Yeah.
Opening weekend on May 23rd, 1982, it made a little over $2.5 million.
In the U.S.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in the U.S., it grossed over $23.6 million, and that was grossed U.S. and worldwide total.
All right.
All right. Well, let's rate this baby. What do you
Yeah.
guys think? Because I kind of feel like we've ran the Mad Max into the ground, especially since no one wants to watch the first one and nobody wants to watch this one again. So, you know.
Justin, you go first.
Justin, what do you got?
And I don't know, just to I've actually watched the third one.
Beyond Thunderdome.
I don't know if we're planning on watching that or not, but
Can you guys stomach another one?
just to tip my hat a little bit, it could be my first burnt popcorn. Not gonna lie.
Oh, this one?
This one?
No. The
The third one.
The third one, yeah.
Okay, but yes, let's
Okay.
stick to this one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna give this one a medium. I think a 3 is a good score. I'm not saying it's a bad.
A medium bucket. There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm gonna give it a medium popcorn.
All right. I'm going to do the same. I feel like it's middle of the road, you know. Parts of it unrealistic, parts of it drug out. I did like the humor. I did like the dog. Yeah, so I'm going with a medium bucket as well. Joseph?
Guys, you're going to have plenty of company in the boat. I'm on the medium popcorn on this
Okay.
one as well.
So good middle of the road, but again, I feel like you two, I wouldn't want to watch it again necessarily. I mean, if it came on, I might watch a little bit of it if I had to, but I'd be like,
I
find
guess it
something
all
else.
depends on where I would be in the movie when I clicked it on.
Yeah.
If it's at a good part, I'd probably watch the good part and then move on.
Yeah. I would if it was like something funny.
Yeah, like if I knew, like where he
That's
was
a good
sitting.
point. I would rewatch parts of it.
Yeah,
if it was on,
yeah, but I wouldn't sit through beginning to end.
Yeah. Me neither. Okay.
Well, another thing, the narrator that you talked about in the beginning, he's like, it kind of wraps it all at the end that he is the feral kid. The narrator
Yeah.
who is talking in the beginning and the end of the movie is the little kid that, you know, he's talking about, oh, I grew up, but I'll never forget that road warrior guy that helped us
Right.
back when I was a little kid. They tied it in that way.
Interesting. So, I get, you know,
Medium across
medium
the
buckets
board.
isn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still don't understand. On IMDb, it's rated 7.6 out of 10. Guys, am I just crazy or is the internet wrong? And you know the internet can't be wrong. But
Well, it's such an iconic movie, though.
But still, Dave, I mean,
It was one of the first that
Stylistically,
said, you know, apocalypse is
Yeah.
going to hit, and you know these sadistic people out on the road, and you got this vigilante that doesn't cave, you know, and he helps out the good guys, and the good guys, you know, kind of went out, and that's kind of how all of them roll, and I think that's what's made it successful.
I'm wondering if people are just rating it off the nostalgia value of remember what they saw the first time around.
Maybe. I mean, because I kind of feel that way. I mean, you know, Road Warrior's always been in a movie that you recognize. You know what I mean? It's recognizable.
Right.
Like if you go to any of the romantic comedies or anything like that, they kind of fit in a category.
Right.
But Road Warriors, it's got its own category, and it's one of the first to have that category.
Yeah.
And look what it's led to now. I mean, you know, you got all the Walking Dead crap and all that stuff. I mean, you know, zombie apocalypse is kind of like the thing.
Well, here we are 30 years later, and what was it, the last couple of years, they went ahead and did another Mad Max.
Uh-huh.
Now, have either of you guys seen the
I have.
Okay, no spoilers, but does it tie in with this, or is it like completely its own?
No, it's still the same apocalypse hits, and you know, but instead of fuel, it's water. Water's valuable. You know, and it's the same thing, isolated community. They have an internal struggle with water and dealing with what they deal with. And, you know, and then it's a different Max, though. You know, this rogue guy stumbles in, and he takes on the big time people. And
So is it a little more believable? Or
no,
is it just
same,
as goofy
same
as-
deal. Same chases, same crazy vehicles, same crazy outfits.
Yeah, the effects are just so
Little-
much different now.
Little more
Yeah,
polished.
Yeah.
Way more polished. But actually even maybe less realistic in some ways. If I remember the movie, I mean, there's some
Yeah.
times where cars are flying to the air like 100 feet,
Oh, yeah.
which looks pretty cool, but is not realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting stuck in the mud and running a winch to the tree that just happens to be there and so strong to pull out a, 20-ton tractor trailer. Yeah, crazy stuff. But, anyway. All right. So mediums all the way around, and been there, watched that, and this is Road Warrior. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, well, we got.
It got better
We'll
though.
have to decide: do we stop here or do we keep?
I'm
on
pretty sure
going?
we stop.
Yeah,
I
me
vote
too.
we stop.
Yeah,
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something
Yeah,
else.
let's make it unanimous. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
This is the end of the line.
We get
for
on to
Mad
better
Max.
stuff. So next week, make sure you tune in to something different other than Road Warrior. So if you're listening to this and you're Mad Maxed out as well, no worries. We'll be back next week with something different.
Well, Joe, you can say that
Woo.
if anyone, we won't be embarrassed at a party if someone asks, "Have you seen Max?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you know about Road Warrior from 50
Yeah,
years
you
ago?
won't- you won't feel
Yes,
left
I
out or
do.
anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could be in the conversation
Yeah.
now.
Oh gosh, do you really want to be in that conversation though? I mean, is that somewhere you want to be? Let's be honest.
Hey,
Although
yeah,
I would
well,
talk about Road Warrior.
Joe, you said before we started that your wife said her favorite thing about the first one was when it ended.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, Cena asked me after last week's show. She said, "Did you tell him what I thought?" I said, "No." I said, "I completely forgot."
Yeah.
She said, "You didn't tell my favorite part." I said, "No, what was it?" She said, "The end."
Yeah.
It's like, I can see that. Yeah, I said, "Yeah, that's pretty much what we all decided." I said, "We didn't say it necessarily, but we all pretty well decided when the credits rolled that was our favorite part."
Oh boy. Hey, I'm ready to move on. Yeah. It's craziness. Okay. All right, well, Justin, wrap this up. So medium buckets all the way around on Road Warrior, and thank
That's
goodness
right.
we are done.
Now wait a minute. So Dave, what's
It's
your
my
pick for
turn, yeah.
next? Yeah, what's your pick?
I'm going. So I want to get your list of stuff that you have
Okay.
and see what I might like on there. I have one in mind, but I'm going to wait to see if I can find it.
Okay. Also, we're not going to discuss about this on air. You're going to leave everybody in suspense. is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. You have to show up
Okay.
next week. It is going to be different though. It's not going to be another one of these apocalyptic movies.
Well, no, we don't know that. It may just be better.
Well, since now that we decided we're not doing any more Mad Max, I'll just come out and say that the third one is like one of the worst movies I've seen in a long time. They took the Mad Max theme and then just kind of
Yeah.
just totally butchered it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I did not like
Tina
it.
Turner was in it though.
Yeah.
She did a good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, rough stuff all the way around.
Rough.
Yeah, they rolled like 5 different stories into that one.
Mhm.
But anyway, all right. Anyway, on to better things. So in my pick, I'm going to try to pick a good movie. Now, here's the problem. You guys are younger than me, so what I consider a good movie is probably not your cup of tea, but hey,
Yeah.
for people
Well,
out there like me,
Your memory of it must have changed over the years because when I told you Mad Max, you were like, "Good pick. I like that."
well, I thought it fit like a niche. You know, yeah, it's a it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably have not seen it, especially here recently.
Yeah.
So
The
it's
fact that any of us would, at least watch 5 minutes of it if they saw it on TV again, I think that says something. It's not
Yeah.
a total stinker. So.
right. I just mean, good pick is in that's something that people would have heard of, but probably not watched. The
Yeah.
crazy part is I had to pay $2.99 to watch it.
Yeah, for me, I think I'd seen both of them a long time ago, but
Yeah.
watching them again, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was all right.
I mean, and that's part of what the
Yeah.
podcast is about, finding movies that people may or may not have seen recently or at all, and, kind of give them a little inspiration to think about movies and think about how movies reflect our lives and our opinions and how they shape us a little bit,
Yeah.
and then look for those odd
Yeah,
movies
like
that,
you said, Mad Max kind of
Yeah.
was the first to do that sort of thing, so it
Yeah.
kind of gives you some perspective
But-
on
but-
this,
Go ahead.
stylistically how these newer shows kind of
yeah.
they probably got some things from Mad Max.
But now I'm a little scared, a little leery when Dave goes, "I got a great pick for nostalgia value." Now that we're seeing what his nostalgia value picks are,
Oh, it's
Dave, you
well.
had me
So let me
worried.
throw this out there. Have you guys ever heard of Apocalypse Now?
Yes.
Okay, got Marlon Brando in it.
Yep.
Now that movie
That
is
came
trippy.
That came out the same year as Mad Max 1.
Did it really? Okay,
Mhm.
it's trippy. I mean, real trippy. It's
Vietnam is the
Vietnam,
setting.
but just a whole category on its own of
Yeah.
just not outlandish. That's the wrong word.
Like Fever
choice.
Dream.
Man, it's just there's so many little things in there. You're just like, that probably did happen. This probably did happen. And Apocalypse Now, if you don't know, it has Emilio Estevez's dad in it. Martin Sheen's younger. Marlon Brando. But it's about a military guy who's an intelligence guy, and he ends up somewhere way up a jungle, way up a river, and he's sending them correspondence that has the U.S. government worried. It's right at the end of the Vietnam War, and they're like, this guy has went rogue, and we got to go get him back because he has all this important information, and he's sending us these crazy letters. And they're like, well, he could have like malaria or something that's affecting him, or he could just be
crazy.
He's so smart that he could just be crazy now. And it ends up he has his own little tribe under his control. They think he's a god, type deal. And Martin Sheen's job is to go get him and evaluate him and see if he's a threat to America. And his adventures on getting there is just astounding. Like at one point they roll in, and I don't understand why he's got to go by boat, because at one point this helicopter that has the Playboy ladies on it or whatever, they're girls that are part of that, and they're doing like a U.S. tour. They beat him to these spots that he's going through all this trouble to get in a boat there, but they fly there in a helicopter and land, and like they have this big floating dock that they do this big music festival for all the soldiers on and stuff, and then he boats up after them, and he's kind of like, I was like, why didn't they just helicopter this guy where he needed to go? Why is it, all this cloak and dagger on the boat? But anyway, it's a really crazy movie, and it has the dun 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 music where they're going into this village from helicopters from the ocean. But part of the thing is they drop these guys off and they get dibs on who gets to surf the waves coming in as they're blowing up the village on the shoreline. And the famous line, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
That's where it comes from.
Yep.
Okay.
And and it's just kind of crazy because the war is going on, but yet these guys are riding the waves because all the boats are coming and the helicopters are coming, and they get to surf, and they're all like, yeah, California surfer dudes, and this is how we get our kicks. So it just got a lot of stuff like that in it that's, a lot of violence, but kind of crazy. And the mental battle between him and Marlon Brando is kind of, Marlon Brando's like, I know why you're here. I know what's going on, and then we're going to play this out. And so
yeah, it's a movie I've seen, and then I'm like, well, apparently I don't remember anything about this movie because you're describing a lot of stuff that, it's just been so long I haven't remember all that
So
stuff.
Anyway, that's the kind of movie I was like, man, I could throw that out there, but that's kind of deep. I don't know. So I'm going to go with something a little different, a little more. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what I can find. I got two that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're rolling up on 52 minutes here. So Justin, take us out of here, and this will be our Been There, Watch That.
As is tradition, I pass the baton to Joe. He takes us home.
All right. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast, Been There, Watch That. We're on iTunes and all major podcasts hosted by Anchor.fm. Be sure to visit our website at BeenThereWatchThat.com. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook at BTWT Pod. I'm surprised, guys. I got all that spelled right.
Yeah.
And we thank you for watching and subscribing. And be sure to leave us a comment, leave us a 5-star review. And if there's any movie or show that you guys want us to...
Recommendations would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's stuff that I'm not thinking of or overlooked, or you guys the same way.
Yeah. If you want us to review or bash over the head or just completely bludgeon like we had the Mad Max series, leave it in the comments and we'd be more than happy to watch it and review it. BeenThereWatchThat.com.
Nice. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for another great show. Been There, Watch That. And this is, what show are we on? 4?
This is number 5. Yep.
5. Number 5.
Number 6 coming up.
Number 6 coming up next week. All right. Joe, Justin, and myself.
We promise no more Mad Max.
Maybe. No, yeah, definitely. We'll be back for show number 6 next week. Thank you for joining us, and everyone have a great rest of their week.